This is Generation Stadia, giving you your daily dose for everything and anything Stadia related, and today we'll be talking about free-to-play games. As of right now, Google hasn't announced any free-to-play games for Stadia, be it Stadia Base or Pro, and I really wanted to start talking about this. With that said, they will be supporting free-to-play titles, just how it works, we don't know yet. The way the video game industry is right now, the top leading games happen to be free-to-play. Look at League of Legends, look at Fortnite, or how about Apex Legends? It seems like it's more important now than ever to be sure that your platform can support free-to-play games, but I do question how Stadia will be pulling this off. To put this into perspective, Stadia Base is a free service, but you have to buy the games, and that's where Google's getting the money from. Up until now, you would be able to buy a game and then use a Stadia-based server for free. But I do wonder how much it costs to run and upkeep a server blade, especially if there were a free-to-play title like Fortnite. Just trying to imagine how many people would start trying to play Fortnite through Stadia, considering you don't need good hardware to play it anymore. The barrier of entry is completely eliminated. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a really cool idea. I like the idea of Fortnite or free-to-play games no longer having a barrier of entry, but these servers aren't free to keep up and running. Now, quite possibly, they could be making money off every in-game sale or microtransaction that happens in the game. But I do wonder if that's enough money to upkeep the server running. I mean, when you're playing it on a PS4 or Xbox, at least you already bought the console, you paid for the hardware. With Stadia, most people will probably be playing on Stadia Base because it's absolutely free to use. But let's say Google has actually ran the numbers and they do still make enough money to justify keeping the servers up and running for everyone who wants to play. I wonder if the servers could then get overloaded with the amount of people trying to access it. I mean, just take the latest Fortnite trailer for example. The Fortnite Season 10 overview trailer raked in about 22 million views on YouTube. Now imagine there was a play now button underneath that. I feel like it could easily lead to a bunch of people clicking it and then overloading Stadia's servers. Now, once again, I want to make this very clear. This is purely based on speculation from me, but I just feel like there needs to be discussion about it. It could be that Google is already well prepared to deal with such a thing. With that said, I do have to question why they haven't announced any free-to-play games, knowing just how big that market is. So in saying that, I do think there's one of four possibilities here. The first being that Google is prepared and ready to go, but they just don't want to stress out the servers immediately upon launch, and that would make perfect sense. That would be a worst case scenario. Imagine a service like Stadia that already gets a lot of criticism is faced with launch issues, which there will probably be some minor ones here and there. Imagine if something went wrong and for some reason they had to enable a queue to access your own games that you just purchased on this brand new platform. There would be some really bad comments made everywhere. The second outcome could possibly be that they still don't know how they're going to monetize it to actually be profitable. While Stadia Base may be a free service for us to use, it's certainly not free for Google to upkeep and maintain. And that's where I want to jump into possibility 3, ad support. How would you feel if they started implementing ads into free-to-play titles in between matches? And I know, trust me, it's a scary thought. Personally, I don't like the idea of ads being in games, but in this instance, I think Google would be willing to do something like that. They are an advertisement company first and foremost after all, and it'd be a great way for them to pay the server upkeep. I'm not 100% sure I'd be fully okay with it, but if they were ever to do this, I would expect Stadia Pro members to not have any sort of ad placement whatsoever. I also do wonder if publishers would be okay with that, or if they would also expect to get a certain percentage of the ad revenue for themselves as well. Now, the last possibility that comes to mind is that Google is just waiting and building their infrastructure up because it's just not ready to handle that much of an influx of users. After all, Google Stadia is only launching in 14 countries at the end of the day, so there's still tons of growth to be had. Now, if I had to choose one of these possibilities being the most likely, I would have to say it's probably the ad-supported free-to-play games. I just think it makes the most sense considering Google makes most of its money off advertising to begin with. And unlike YouTube, these ads wouldn't be running on your Chrome browser, so something like AdBlock wouldn't prevent them from making money. I also feel like it would be a good explanation of why Google Stadia has really strayed from that topic to begin with. It's not going to be the most popular decision if it were ever to get announced, and I'm expecting a lot of backlash if that's the case. Now, do you have any other ideas on how they could monetize free-to-play titles? I'm curious to find out. Because the only other thing I can think of is that they would lock free-to-play titles behind Stadia Pro membership, but I highly doubt they would do that. It would be a very bad look on Google for locking free-to-play titles behind a membership cost, especially when those same titles are playable everywhere else for absolutely free. And since we're on the topic of revenue and server upkeep, I do want to point out that Stadia will be making Google money from a lot more sectors than just gaming. The way Stadia integrates with every aspect of Google is not being lost here, and quite possibly it could make up the difference in money that they need, but something tells me that they don't want to do that. Right off the bat, if you plan on using Google Stadia, you will be installing or using another Google-owned service or property. Be it using their Google-owned Pixel Line series running on Google-owned Android software, and the same would go for computer usage. You're either using a Chromebook that's already Google-owned, or you're installing software like Google Chrome to use it. Wanna play on the TV? Well then you gotta buy a Google-owned Chromecast Ultra and an official Google Stadia controller. No matter what entry point you're gonna try and play Stadia with, you're definitely going to be going through Google to do it. And that's where the key with Stadia lies. It's heavy integration into everything Google. Even YouTube, it's already known that it has some very heavy integration with YouTube, and that's gonna be huge. If you want to find out more of my thoughts about that, then click on the annotation above where I really go in depth in YouTube's integration. Now, I could keep going about how much Stadia sucks you into the Google ecosystem, but I think I pretty much made the point clear by now. All in all, Google will still be making a ton of money through Stadia in different ways outside of just gaming. So potentially, maybe they could be making enough money to support free-to-play servers for everyone, but I just don't see that happening. At the end of the day, Google is a business first and foremost, and as any business that exists, their number one priority is making money. I'll definitely be talking about Google's ecosystem integration in the near future because I do think it's a big part of Stadia's long-term plan. Now that pretty much sums up my thoughts on today's topic, but I do want to know, do you think free-to-play ad-supported games is the way to go? Or would you rather they lock free-to-play games behind pro membership if you had to choose between the two? Now, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, it really does help the channel out, and if you want more videos like this, be sure to hit subscribe and that notification bell below to not miss out. Here at Generation Stadia, we provide any and all sort of discussion Stadia related, be it news, opinions, reviews, or more. Videos come daily, and if you want to be a part of the Gen S family, consider joining the Discord linked in the description below and the pinned comment of this video. It's a great way to connect with not just me, but other people who are picking up the Founders Edition if you want to look for people to game with. Now, until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds. Peace.